Good morning, guys. Southern Gal Lily here with you. Welcome to my channel. I had some dental work done yesterday evening, kind of late, so it swelled even more overnight. And they had to cut out a couple of bad teeth and put stitches in. I'm sorry if you can't understand me. I'm trying to stretch my lips as much as I can without so much pain, because I didn't get any kind of pain medicine. And normally the dentist will write you pain medicine, infection medicine, or at least pain medicine. Due to my sobriety, I don't take pain medicine. All I take is I get the Tylenol, I get ibuprofen, and Advil has come out with this Advil dual action with acetaminophen. It's really good, but the best thing for me with pain is Tylenol. And not that arthritis one. That arthritis one just doesn't knock the pain out quickly like this one does. This one's like basic extra strength. When I first had them removed, and I couldn't open my mouth at all hardly, I went and got some Dayquil, because Dayquil has Tylenol in it. And Dayquil won't knock you out the way NyQuil will. Now, I don't take all this together. You know, this is for like when I can't get my mouth open and I'm hurting really bad. Tylenol is like late night. Sorry, all the dogs are barking right now. Somebody's been creeping around the house, and I had a break-in about 2 weeks ago. You know, a lot of people don't realize, for people like me, yes, I'm an addict, and I have a ED disorder, I have OCD, and a form of Tourette's. But what they don't understand is, when I go to the dentist, I don't get the oxycodone or hydrocodone or the Xanax for anxiety. I don't get or take any of that to maintain my sobriety. Got a lot of gauze. But I'm proud of myself because I've been almost right at 10 years with my sobriety. And I'm so proud. I mean, call me arrogant, but I'm so proud of myself because almost 10 years ago, I was taking 8-9 Percocet at a time. I was waking up for the pain medicine. And it all started from a car wreck that I was involved in. A friend of mine was driving, hit a ditch in the edge of a tree, and it crushed both of my ankles and my legs. So I was in a wheelchair for over 6 months. And the doctor was writing me 120 Percocet, 90 Lorcet, every month together. And then they would up it and down it back and forth. And I'm not blaming the doctors. I blame me, because I have a very addictive personality. I didn't know that back then. I know that now. Well, believe it or not, your genetics play a big part in your addictive personality. Okay. Some of my family and extended family are addicted to alcohol. Some are addicted to drugs. Some weren't addicted to anything. One or two, have gambling issues, but there's like that's why I think it's so good to know your medical history, because it helped me to really see just how deep this runs in my veins. Now, it doesn't matter what my family does, I control me, but at a younger age, I didn't and couldn't control myself. At a younger age, I made very stupid decisions. But I was also traumatized from a young age too. And when you deal with things like sexual abuse, domestic violence, sometimes you can form different disorders. And I'd say I was about 10 years old, I started having ED issues. And I remember being about 8 years old and seeing like these beautiful women on TV, like Heather Locklear, um, like on 90210, Tori Spelling, Shannon Doherty, Days of Our Lives, Another World. All of these shows and these movies had such beautiful women. And I'm not blaming Hollywood either. But we as a society, we tend to think that that's how we're supposed to look. I've done some research recently, and I did a little like a survey, and I asked how many people have been in a situation to where their spouse expects them to look like a movie star. And about 16 out of 20 people said that their spouse treated them as if they were supposed to look like a movie star and sexually be like a porn star. People have watched so much porn online and on TV that they think that's how it really is in the bedroom. And for a lot of people, it's not. Porn is a fantasy. That's a movie. But it's become so normalized, and people are watching it starting from such a young age now that it gets normalized in the brain, and they think, well, that's what we're supposed to look like, and that's what we're supposed to do. I had a friend that I met probably about 4 years ago, and we met in counseling. He wouldn't date a woman. Hold on. He wouldn't date a woman unless she looked like bleach blonde hair, breast implants, tight tummy, dark tan, full lips, tattoos. He was very hooked on that look. And I spoke with him many times about, yeah, there's women out here that look that way, but the chance of you getting one and her being like a porn star and looking like a movie star, that's not reality. Most everyday people in like normal life aren't going to look like Pam Anderson. There are some who do. But in like my everyday life, I never see anybody who looks like Pam Anderson. I never see anybody who looks like Megan Fox. You know, I don't see men that look like George Clooney or Brad Pitt. But besides that, I haven't ever met anyone or sexually been involved with anyone who was like the porn stars in porn that I've seen. And that's what I was trying to tell him. Just because you watch porn and you have a preference, you know, you might like this or that, you might like, you know, you have a certain thing that you like, a certain category. Like say, I'm trying to be so clean here. I'm just going to say it. You might like anal porn. And then Tom over here might like oral. But whoever you're dating might not have ever watched porn. They may not have ever had much experience sexually. So they're not going to be like what you've seen in porn. Then you might meet someone who has had more experience and could be a little more, you know, like that. But you can't go around expecting everybody to be porn stars in bed and looking like movie stars outside the bedroom. That's not everyday life for normal people like us. Well, this dude was so hung up on how he wanted his girlfriend to look that he could never find a girlfriend. Nobody ever was good enough physically for him. So he stayed alone for a long time. I used to call him Shallow Hal because that's how he acted. And no offense, I don't want to sound like a butthole when I say this, but he was no George Clooney. And he was out here looking for a Pam Anderson during Baywatch days. And I'm thinking to myself, bruh, you are no George Clooney. You shouldn't be expecting, you should be getting to know people. You shouldn't be focusing on physical appearance. But he was. I always try to see the good in somebody. Hey, baby. I feel like, and that may be one of my downfalls, I always try to see what's in here and what's in here and not what's out here. And I've been fooled. I've been fooled so many times. You know, we're not perfect. None of us are perfect. I've actually dated people that dumped me because I was on go away, fly. Because I was on a sobriety program. Well, I'll just tell you, like a Suboxone program years ago, about 8 years ago. He was good. Come on, Sassy. Come on, girl. You want to get up here? Come on. This side. You got to come this side. Mommy's trying to do a video. Come on. I love you. You want a treat? Let me give the baby a treat. Do you want a treat? Here you go. I'm sorry, guys. Here you go. Good girl. You want to get up? You can come on up. Look, right here. Well, you got to come to the other side, baby. No, baby. You can't come this way. Hey, you're muddy. You been playing in the mud? Oh, boy. Anyways. Oh, my gosh. What was I even saying? I got all these dogs up here. I'll show you. See, there's one. That's my sassy gal. And then I got this boy right here. He's all snuggled up in my pillow. And I'm trying to tell a story. So, this guy dumped me because I was on the Suboxone program. He called me a junkie, an addict. He said that my life wasn't worth saving. He had a lot of mean, vile things to say. You know, it's people like that I try to stay away from, because I feel like any life can be saved if they try and if society can help them. He didn't, he put on such a good facade when I first met him. I really feel, we weren't in love, don't get me twisted. We weren't in love, but like the first month that we dated, it was so great. He was so intelligent, so fun. We had a lot in common. He loved animals, but he had a huge hatred towards drugs and people who had ever used drugs. And I would tell him, I understand that. I hate drugs too. But if I can be an advocate and I can help other people and I can counsel people, not cancel. If I can counsel people and share my story, I'm going to do that. And he would get so offended and embarrassed about me wanting to share my story, because we'd go to the grocery store and somebody, would be there and they would recognize me from therapy and they'd walk up and want to talk from the Suboxone program. And he would be so embarrassed, like, don't talk about that in here, don't talk to them, ignore her, ignore him, don't invite them over. And I'm like, this is why people have a hard time getting clean, because of people like you. This person went and asked for help, got help, and got clean, just like me. They're clean. They're sober. Don't treat them like that and try to push them away for being sober and for doing the right thing. That's what causes a relapse. I'm going to treat them like they're supposed to be treated and like I've been treated, and I'm going to be friends with them and give them support. He didn't like that. He didn't want to do that. He said, why do you have all these friends who are dealing with addictions and all this mess. And I told him, because I'm an addict. And I was, at the time, I was going through therapy and Suboxone programs and all that stuff. And on the way home, he was like, so you're a junkie? And I said, no, I'm not a junkie. I'm not a using addict. I'm in counseling and therapy for my sobriety. I am not using. So then he wanted to go to Walmart and get a drug test. I said, okay, we'll get a drug test, no problem. I really cared about this person. I wanted to make it work. Go get a drug test. I sat past it. That wasn't good enough. Sorry, my gauze is sliding over. I ain't trying to be all nasty with it. Passed the drug test, and then he's like, well, somehow, how I don't understand how you're like this and you're using and then you're not using. Isn't Suboxone just as bad? And if you're taking Suboxone, then you're not clean. You're still a junkie. I say, first off, if you abuse Suboxone, then yeah, you're still abusing drugs, basically. I am not abusing Suboxone. I am in therapy, and I take a quarter first thing in the morning during that time, and I was slowly being weaned off. Now, I wasn't bringing it home. I wasn't keeping it in my possession. Nothing. So I couldn't control how much, that was being given to me. I could only control what I took, and I would only take a tiny little piece. He said, well, if you're taking Suboxone, then you're still strung out. And I said, no, Suboxone is to help people. And I had to Google and go through all of that with him. And he just could not comprehend how you could get clean. And I told him, if you get weaned off and you do it right, you can get clean. But you got to have willpower with any addiction. Luckily, the Suboxone program saved my life. Now, I know there's a lot of horror stories out there about other people that it didn't work for. There's methadone horror stories. There are Valium horror stories, Klonopin, a lot of drugs that they use to get people off of drugs. There's always bad stories about these drugs or people getting addicted to those drugs. But anyways, he dumped me over it. And before he dumped me though, he gave me an ultimatum. He said, you stop the Suboxone program or I'm going to break up with you. And I said, my sobriety means everything to me, especially right now because my family is depending on me getting clean and sober. And he said, what was your addiction? And I said, pain medicine. He said, well, that doesn't sound too bad. I said, to you it might not. To me, it almost took my life. It's taken several of my friends' lives, which they were on, other things too, but still doesn't matter. People die every day from overdosing on pain medicine. It's very dangerous. And on, benzos, Xanax, things like that. All that stuff is so dangerous. Back then, I didn't realize that. All I knew is it made me feel good and it helped me to numb out all the bad things that I didn't want to think about. All the bad memories and flashbacks of trauma. I just wanted to block out. Once you face that stuff, you can get through anything. When he gave me the ultimatum of stopping the Suboxone program or him breaking up with me, I flat out told him, my family loves me. I'm not losing my family. And I'm not going to disappoint them again. So if you got to break up with me, you break up with me. And he said, so what your family says matters more. I said, you've been here for 2 months. They've been here for 23 years. Yeah, what they say matters more. He left. Back then we had flip phones, so, he would text a little bit. He'd call the house phone. Are you off the program? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Are you done? I'm like, leave me alone. You've already showed me how much you care about me by giving me an ultimatum. You should care about my well-being too. I care about your well-being. The last time I talked to him, he said, if you'll stop today, just quit cold turkey. I said, I'm on a program. Do you not understand? I'm on a program. You can't stop cold turkey. I could relapse. I'm not going to relapse for you or anybody else because this is important to me. He said, so you picked the Suboxone over me. I said, I picked my sobriety over you. About 2 months later, I was weaned completely off. Done with everything. When I would get a craving, I would grab my phone, call my sponsor. I'd call my family. I'd call my mom. People don't realize how important having support really is. It's so important. And your spouse should be very supportive. Your spouse should be the most supportive person in your life. Come to find out, I didn't think about it until later on, but he had a huge porn addiction. He would watch porn constantly through the whole relationship. The whole 2.5, 3 months, whatever it was we were together. He couldn't even get an erection without putting in a DVD or going to the Playboy channel. He spent over $200 a month just in, like dirty channels on satellite. I thought to myself, he talked all this junk to me about my addiction and how much money I spent and this and that. Addiction is addiction is addiction. Your gambling addiction is no better than my pain medicine addiction. My pain medicine addiction is no better or worse than your shopping addiction. Each addiction is just as bad. None of them are good. And all of them have bad consequences. I've seen people lose everything over being a shopaholic. I've seen people lose everything over gambling and gambling debts. I've seen people lose their lives over gambling debts. Dog fighting. I've seen people addicted to that. I've seen people addicted to Sundrop, coffee, sodas, to the point to where they would wake up and get severe migraines and couldn't get out of bed because they hurt so bad without that drink, without that caffeine. If you think I'm lying, look that up. That's a real thing, especially with some Mountain Dew and Sundrop. People get really addicted to Mountain Dew and Sundrop. I used to be addicted to I think it was Sundrop. Yeah, Sundrop. That's the one. Years and years ago. Now I'm on dark drinks, and I don't drink but like one a day sometimes. But all in all, every addiction is bad. So me and him parted ways because I knew I couldn't be with somebody who just forced ultimatums upon me. And the fact that he wanted me to stop a program that was saving my life, and again, I know for some people, Suboxone isn't the right way to go. I know for some people, it doesn't work for them. But for me, it did. It really did. And I went from taking 120 pain pills within a couple of weeks to taking nothing. I fought for over, I can't remember how long it was, but I fought for almost a decade with that addiction with pain pills. Anywhere from buying them off the street, getting them from people I knew, getting them from doctors. I never doctor hopped because I was always too scared of stuff like that. But still, getting them off the street was just as bad, and I was in my early 20s. And I'm not blaming it on age. It was very bad decision making on my behalf. And then once I got into the program, a good program, the doctor told me, he said, you're going to have to face your demons. I said, I figured addiction was the demon. He said, no. Addiction only comes from trying to cover those demons. That stuck with me. It stuck with me so hard because I was covering a lot of demons. I was basically sexually assaulted at 5 years old by a family friend. I didn't even realize it was sexual assault until I was about 14, and this person was still around, and he wasn't the only one. And then I found out he'd done it to other people that we know. And then I got married, married, left home young, got married young, started a life very young with someone way too old for me. A lot of things happen in your childhood, and you have to learn how to not mask it or cover it. You have to know how to face it, address it, fight through it, get stronger. I have anxiety so bad. And again, I can't take any kind of anxiety medicine. Once in a while, I'll take a tiny little piece of Benadryl. I'm so scared of my addiction that I will barely take like a half a Tylenol with an Advil or something. I'm so scared. But I'm glad of that because I won't get hooked on nothing ever again. If I go to the doctor or the hospital for anything, I don't let them give me any kind of pain medicine. No morphine, no Dilaudid, no Percocet, no nothing. Because I don't want to go back through that again. Back when I had gotten clean one time before, sorry, years ago, when I had gotten clean one time before, I had been clean for like 3 months. I went to the hospital for a surgery. Had my gallbladder taken out. Well, I didn't want it, but I had gallstones. I didn't want it out, but it had to come out. Anyways, they gave me morphine and a morphine drip. I figured, well, I'm only going to be there for a few hours, so this isn't going to affect anything. Wrong. I got out of surgery that evening, was in the hospital for about 3 or 4 days afterwards. They took the morphine drip off a day after the surgery, and they started giving me the pain medicine for the incisions and everything. I left to go home like 4 days after the surgery. When I got home and I laid down, I was twitching. I was already withdrawing from that morphine drip and the pain medicine they were giving me, Dilaudid and oxycodone. I didn't want to withdraw. Hey, Momo. Come here, Mo. My Elmo. I didn't want to withdraw. I was terrified of withdrawing. That's one of the biggest scares for an addict is to go through withdrawals. And it terrified me because mine were so bad. Mine were twitching, diarrhea, sweats, fever, heart palpitations, heart racing, severe sweating, stomach cramps, puking. It was horrible. And you would think after going through withdrawals the first time you'd learn a lesson. No, you go get more whatever drug you're doing to get rid of the withdrawals to feel normal again. But once that wears off, you're back to withdrawing. So you're going to withdraw every time you come off the stuff, which puts in your brain to go get it and keep it. Then you start keeping it on you so you don't go through withdrawals, which makes the withdrawals a hell of a lot more worse. Way worse. Before I knew it, I was on 8 and 9 Percocets at one time. Several times a day. Take it from me. If you need to get clean, start now. Go get help and do it safely. Don't never try to just go cold turkey. Don't never try to do anything without a doctor, or a program, people who know what they're doing. Because withdrawals can be very dangerous for some people. Withdrawals have the same effects as drug use. Where, like, say, a drug like cocaine can cause your heart to race, cause your skin to break out, cause your teeth to go bad, cause your anxiety to be worse. Withdrawals cause the same exact symptoms. So you have to be careful. Guys, I really appreciate you listening, and I'm going to try to get some videos out today. See you soon.